Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, welcome. Today's video is a very special video. We're going to do 5 looks using this palette, and this is Melt Cosmetics Amor Y Mariposas palette, and this originally retailed at $70. Right now on their website it retails at $28, and there was no other day that I could have tested this palette and I could have tested Melt Cosmetics for the first time. So I'm super excited about this. This palette's packaging is absolutely gorgeous from the outer cover to the palette. Like, it's absolutely stunning. Let me show you the unicarton. This is the unicarton that it comes with, and it is so pretty in gold. Oh my god, the details, the intricacy about all the artwork in the palette is absolutely stunning. All the ingredients, what they use, how to apply, everything is in the back of the palette. I don't know if you can see that or not. And even inside of the unicarton, it's all velvet. The details are absolutely gorgeous. Like, that's why I think the palette is like $70. But I did not test this out for $70 because I really thought like $70 is too much price for this palette. But the packaging is stunning. If you are a packaging kind of a person, you would absolutely love it. This palette also comes with a mirror too, and this is how the palette looks. It's a pressed pigment palette with 20 shades in it. And if you know Melt Cosmetics, you know they excel in jewel tones, and this palette is full of that. I was excited to try this green jewel tone, this purple jewel tones, this maroon jewel tone. Reds are super unique to me, and I was absolutely obsessed to see this. I have already swatched this palette and I am in love with the swatches, and you will see how beautifully everything swatches on the screen itself. This palette only has like 6 shimmers, rest everything is matte, but I love, in any other case I would have like not liked it, but for Melt Cosmetics, people rave about their matte, and I would have loved to test their matte eyeshadows, especially those jewel tone ones. There could have been no time better than this to try it, and I am excited. The meaning behind this whole collection was like kiss worthy. I loved the thought behind it. It's basically remembering all the loved ones that have like passed away, and I do not have my dad, so it totally reminded me, like it just brought those memories back. And this palette is not old as such. This was their 2021 holiday release, so I thought of grabbing this baby, and this is the actual palette's like front cover. Look how beautiful that is, with like the butterflies and the heart and the thorns on. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, this is the first time I'm trying Melt Cosmetics. I've actually used this palette once before in my Luxy Beauty eyeshadow video. I don't know if I'll post the Luxy Beauty eyeshadow palette video before this. Most probably I would. If that is the case, I'll link the Luxy Beauty eyeshadow video in the iCards above for you guys to check it out. But let's dive into the 5 looks. I personally, as soon as I look into this palette, the only, even when I swatched it, only complaint that I would have is these 2 shades are very similar to each other. Like these 2 skin tone shades, there is a little bit of different, but especially on my tan, like medium skin tones or in deep skin tones, I don't think you need those 2 palettes. Even if you are like light medium skin, I think this would only appear a little different if you are like a fairest of fair skin tones. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's start off with this shade, which is called, okay, I'm not going to pronounce it. I'm going to just show you the shades because this is all in Spanish and I am super bad at Spanish. So I'm going to first just put that shade all across my eyelid, and this shade you won't be able to see because it's like just my skin shade, and that's why I'm just setting my eyelids with it. I just have a leftover like concealer on my eyelid, so this would definitely help to blend all the shades out. And then I'm going to take this shade, which is Senales, and I'll show you how different it is. I mean, it's definitely not that different, especially on my skin tone, right? So I'm going to take Senales on the other eyelid. I would say this is a little more beigey, whereas this one is a little more rosy, but on the eye, I mean, you can see it. Definitely we didn't require like both of these shades in this palette. Okay, so now I'm going to take this shade, which is called Mensaje. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to pronounce it. Okay, I'm going to take this mustardy, like peachy orangey shade, and I'm going to take that like on my crease just to give a little more warmth on the eye. And then I'm going to take this shade. It's a little more on like the reddy side, I would say. I'm going to take that more towards the outer corners, I would say. And then just blend it, because we're going to use another deeper shade towards the outer corners. But I'm going to take this towards the center of my eyelid. It's a beautiful red shade, and it's very difficult to do a red shade, but it's blending out very, very nicely. I'm going to take the same shade on my lower lash line too. I'm just going to take that same shade, which is called Tiadaro, and a little bit of Mansahe, and just blend the edges so that there's no harsh lines with the same brush. I'm going to take this shade, which is called Charo from the palette, and I'm going to take a little more of a fluffy definer brush. I'm just going to place that in the outer corners just to deepen everything out. And I'm going to take the same shade on my outer corners of the lower lash line. Just over here. Just so that we have like a continuity of everything. Okay, now I'm going to take this shade, which is this deep emerald green shade. And I'm going to take that. Let's first put a tiny little bit of glitter glue. I should have done that before. I'm going to just take a tiny little bit. Just because we have so many mats already placed, I want something to stick to the eyelid. So just a tacky little base, just like that, just a tiny little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take that emerald green shade. I'm going to place that right in the center of my eyelid. It's such a beautiful, like a deeper shimmer. I'm going to take this shade, which is more of like a copper shimmer shade, I would say, towards the inner third, and they just melted into that green. Just like that. I'm going to dip back into that green shade just to intensify. And then finally, I'm going to take again the shade Charo and just deepen out my outer corners. So after we've blended those things out, I'm just going to finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. So that's my first eye look. I would say it's a grungy but like neutral but green. I love this. I'm very comfortable with like this kind of grunge. Yeah, it's just the right amount of green for me, so I can handle it. Okay, let's move on to the second look. I am gonna start off, I think I'm gonna do something rosy on this eye. So I'm gonna start off with this shade, which is this pinky shade, and I'm gonna start that towards my inner corner of the eye. Maybe the whole crease actually. Let's do that. It's a beautiful pink shade. I mean, I definitely do not have this pink shade in my whole collection. At least not that I can think of. Very like I would say a coral pinky shade. Looks very, very neon in the pan. I hope you can see that. Like super, super neon. And I'm craving for a halo eye. So let's do a halo eye on this eye. Let's take this, I would say a plummy purple shade. I'm gonna take that on my outer corners. Wow, look at that. It's a beautiful jewel tone. Wow, I love these kind of purples. It definitely has a little fallout in the pan. I don't know if you can see it or not. Not much, just a little, especially with like jewel tone shades. You definitely find a lot more like fallouts, and these are like pressed pigments. So I would definitely suggest you guys to do your eyes first and your face second. And then just melt it down in the crease. I'm just going to take that same crease brush with no additional product and just go over the edges. Clean up if I need to, deepen up if I need to. Okay, so pretty. I'm going to take this shade, which is Tequila, in the inner corners. Oh my God, that's such a beautiful inner corner shade. Look at that. That's stunning. Beautiful for like the inner corner and the brow bone highlight. I'm actually going to do this here too. So pretty. For the eyelid, I'm first going to take a little bit of glitter glue. And this is the NYX glitter glue, just a tiny little bit. And just pop it right in the center of the eyelid. Again, it just helps the shimmers to stick onto the eyelid, especially when you have a lot of mattes already laid down. I want to go with this shade, Sagrado. It's a beautiful, like a rosy pink shade. Oh my God, that is stunning. These shimmers are so creamy, like so creamy. I'm going to take that right in the center, and that's it. I'm going to take a deepening shade that we used, Almohada, this one, and then just go over the edges of that pink shade, just so that everything is smooth and flowing with each other and not like a harsh line. I might have to go with like the shimmer and just spread it out. But these shimmers are so smooth. Let me finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara. Now just to finish off the eye look, I'm going to go back, I'm dropping everything. I'm going to go back to this shade and then just run that on my lower lash line. So pretty. Loving that look. So that is my second eye look. Moving on to the third look, let's start off with this minty green shade, and that's called Carino. I think that's how we pronounce that. I'm going to take that and just blend it all across the crease. It's not of a minty green, it's more of like a sagey green, I would say. I'm starting off with like a tiny bit because this can get muddy on my skin tone. And then circular motion all across, just like that. And now I'm going to take this shade, the deepest murky green shade, and then apply that on the outer corners and the inner corners of the eye. And now for the center of the lid, I'm going to take this shade. This would be more like a minty green, I would say, but a little more on the deeper side. It definitely has like a green and a blue shift to it. Not a shift, like a green and a blue mix to it. I'm going to take the same brush that we used with that deeper shade and just melt the edges into that shimmer shade. Again, we're going to go back to our tequila shade for the inner corners. And for the lower lash line, I'm going to take the shade Maria and then go and build the lower lash line. And then I'm going to take this shade, which is Nueva Vida, this one. And then just plop that also, just to blend everything out. Just a tiny little bit. I'm also going to take this Maria shade right in the outer corners, just to tie everything together, and also in the inner corners. Just like that. Now I'm going to finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. And that's my third eye look. Now let's move on to the fourth look. Okay, we're gonna start with this green shade. I know. Smithy and using greens, I know. I'm gonna take that shade in my inner third. Oh, this completely matches my top actually. I'm gonna blend that in the circular motions and take it towards like my 3/4 of the crease, I would say. It blends really, really nicely. And then for the outer corners, I'm going to take this shade, which is Almohada. It's more of the plummy purple shade. Put that on the outer corners and just lightly blend it towards that green. I'm going to take the same shade, Almohada, on my lower lash line. And now I'm going to take this shade, which is Tequila. And I'm going to take that on my fingers and just put that right in the center and just pat it, blending from the green shade to the purple shade. More of like for a glossy effect on the lid. I'm going to take the same shade, Tequila, on my inner corners. Just like that. Now let me finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara. And this is my fourth look. Okay, on to the fifth and the final eye look. Let's do this. I'm gonna take the shade called Perla, this beautiful red shade from the palette. I'm gonna take that basically on the inner third of my eyelid. I just dipped it like once, just because these shades are so pigmented and it's easily buildable, so I'm not afraid of that at all. So I'm gonna take that. Okay, now I'm going to take the shade, which is Nube, and it's a beautiful like jewel tone purple shade. And I'm going to apply that on my outer corner of the eye. Just like that. Look at that shade. Wow. I'm going to slightly blend it in the center. Not like too much of blending because it can get muddy super quick. Just like that. And I'm going to take the same shade, Nube, on my lower lash line too. Just on the outside of my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take this shade, which is the pinky shade from the palette, and I'm going to take this shade to blend out all the edges of my red as well as purple so that everything can flow into each other. I love this shade, especially because this is such a good blending shade for all these like cool tone looks. Even for warm tone, I would say. It's a very unique shade in my collection. And now for the lid, I want to use that orange for sure. So I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue. Actually, let's just do it without the NYX glitter glue and see. I'm going to take this shade, which is called Mariposa. Beautiful orangey shade. I'm going to take that in the center of my eyelid. Look at that. I think it will pop more with the glitter glue. Let's see. I'm going to take that glitter glue on the other eye. Just a tiny little bit, just for like a tack. And then I'm going to take the same shade. Look at that. Look at the difference. I'm going to plop that right in the center so that that can be like a center focal point of the red shade as well as the purple shade. And we can blend the edges with the same matte shades that we used. With nothing on it, but using the same blending brush that we used earlier, just blending the edges. Now for the inner corners, I'm going to take this shade, which is Tequila. Beautiful inner corner shade. I'm going to plop that in my inner corners. Just like that. I'm going to finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara, and I'll show you the final fifth look. And that's my final look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed all the 5 looks that I created for you guys. I really love the way this one turned out. I think this is my favorite look. Let me know in the comment section below which was your favorite look, and I loved creating all the 5 looks for you guys. If you did like this video, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.